In this week's space news, Intuitive Machines partners with SpaceForge to support space-based semiconductor manufacturing. Intuitive Machines, known for their lunar landers, are working on a spacecraft that can carry out microgravity experiments and then re-enter the Earth's atmosphere and land safely. They've already lined up Rhodium Scientific to carry out microgravity experiments, and this week they announced a new partner, SpaceForge. Regular viewers of this channel will be familiar with this UK space tech company. They are involved in manufacturing advanced alloys and semiconductors in space, where ultra-pure versions can be manufactured, free from the gravity that causes flaws on Earth. With money from the Texas Space Commission, Intuitive Machines is hard at work designing and prototyping a re-entry vehicle to allow companies and scientists to carry out experiments in space. The International Space Station is scheduled to be decommissioned in a few years, and without any commercial space stations available, companies like Intuitive Machines are looking to provide quick, simple and affordable alternatives. Vada Space, a space startup also involved in supporting microgravity experiments in space, has already flown 3 successful missions and landed them safely back on Earth. Their customers are geared more towards pharmaceutical products, while SpaceForge is more about advanced alloys and ultra-pure silicon, more suited to defense and national security needs. Intuitive Machines makes clear its commercial use cases that are driving the design of the spacecraft. Rhodium Scientific and SpaceForge are each developing dedicated microgravity payloads for pharmaceuticals and semiconductors respectively. These payloads help ensure the company is addressing the future commercial market in space. Michelle Fleming, president of SpaceForge, said, "Manufacturing semiconductors in space offers significant performance benefits, but realizing that potential requires dependable, repeatable Earth return capability. Joining Intuitive Machines' Earth re-entry effort provides a pathway for our material science expertise to directly inform the development of a reliable return system. This partnership brings us one step closer towards meeting demand for domestically sourced, high-purity chips, made in orbit and delivered back to Earth with precision." Unquote. SpaceForge intends to produce seed crystals without defects in space. On Earth, SpaceForge is capable of expanding space-based seed crystals into wafers and chips without defects, enabling the production of thousands of high-value wafers, compared to the single digits created on Earth. Without scalable return logistics, space-based production remains scientifically intriguing but commercially challenging. Intuitive Machines' Chief Technology Officer Tim Crane said, "The value of space exploration is in what we're able to bring back to Earth. Enabling this value at scale requires a routine and reliable Earth return capability. Intuitive Machines is addressing that need head-on, with the state of Texas backing our Earth re-entry program." Unquote. The Phase 1 grant will end with a full-scale ground mock-up, showcasing real payloads and use cases in early 2026. Okay, onto our second story this week. NASA and Axiom Space are testing the Artemis spacesuit in the Neutral Buoyancy Lab. NASA and Axiom Space released a short video showing astronauts training in the Neutral Buoyancy Lab wearing the Axiom spacesuit. Recently, Koichi Wakata, an Axiom Space astronaut and the CTO, tested their spacesuit in NASA's Neutral Buoyancy Lab, or NBL. This spacesuit will be used for Artemis missions that land on the Moon. Axiom Space is the only company working on lunar spacesuits, so it's essential they work properly before NASA can send astronauts back to the Moon. The NBL facility is the world's largest indoor pool, used for astronaut training and mission preparation. It can be used to simulate lunar gravity or spacewalks in zero gravity. In this recent test, NASA and Axiom tested the communications, breathing and cooling systems of the spacesuit. They also helped familiarize the NBL divers with the operations and support systems needed for the suit. Further testing will continue to train astronauts on EVA tasks and lunar surface sorties, including how to get into and out of mock-up lunar landers, collect samples and plant flags, as seen in the video. Already, the Axiom spacesuit has undergone 23 tests in NASA's Active Response Gravity Offload System, or ARGOS. This helps simulate lunar gravity. It's not as good as the NBL, but it's much easier to schedule time on. This testing helps future astronauts learn to use lunar tools and move around lunar regolith while using the spacesuit, which has limited mobility and field of vision, in addition to the much reduced gravity. It's worth noting that these tests will understate how difficult it is to move on the Moon. The Moon is very tippy, meaning tipping over is very easy to do, as the recent Intuitive Machines landers have proven. The Apollo astronauts were constantly falling over, so we will see how the new class of Artemis astronauts manage. Okay, on to our final story this week. Gilmour Space and Space BD partner to deliver satellite launch services. Gilmour Space, the Australian rocket launch space startup, has signed a deal with a Japanese space business integrator. Under this agreement, Space BD will offer dedicated and rideshare opportunities on Gilmour Space's Eris launch vehicles and their own spacecraft platform called AlaraSat. This will provide new launch opportunities for Japanese and global satellite customers. All launches will take place from the Bowen Orbital Spaceport in North Queensland, Australia. Gilmour Space is developing Eris, a 3-stage orbital launch vehicle designed to carry small satellites to orbit. Launching from Australia provides an alternative to the usual providers in the US, such as SpaceX and Rocket Lab. David Jervis, head of sales at Gilmour Space, said this about the agreement. "We're excited to be partnering with Space BD, a company with strong networks and proven experience in Japan's space sector. This collaboration opens new opportunities to deliver Australian-made launch services to more customers across the Asia-Pacific." Unquote. Space BD has supported more than 90 satellite missions and over 600 space-related projects, with expertise in launch integration, satellite deployment, and supporting experiments on the ISS, including in-orbit demonstration services. This partnership will expand Space BD's global offerings while strengthening space cooperation between Japan and Australia. Maya Lee, head of Launch Services Business Unit at Space BD, said, "We are very pleased to announce the start of our collaboration with Gilmour Space Technologies. By leveraging not only their geographically advantageous launch capabilities, but also their integrated satellite platform-based one-stop service, we aim to fully support global customers in realizing their space demonstration missions." Unquote. One more thing, Gilmour Space are attempting their first orbital launch from the Bowen Spaceport in Australia soon. The next available launch window is the 16th of July. As always, it depends on the weather that has not been cooperating recently. Hopefully the weather will be good for this launch attempt. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this space news video, consider buying me a coffee to help fund more episodes like this. The link is in the description. Space News Live is on Saturday evening or Sunday morning, depending where you watch from. I recap the videos I posted this week, answer questions, respond to comments and chat messages, cover any missed news, and preview upcoming content. I'd love for you to join if you can. Be sure to like and subscribe so you'll see our upcoming videos. We make videos every week covering the space industry, with an emphasis on the smaller space startups that aren't covered so well on other channels. See you soon.